Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a candle review to share with you. I know, again, it's one of those candles I'm sure you can find 50 reviews from 50 different people already on this candle, but I wanted to share and give you my take on it because I think I found something, at least in mine, that smells in my nose a little bit different. It's got a little edge to it. Anyway, before we go any further, I'll tell you what's on my lips. It's Marc Jacobs from the New Nudes collection in Screen Test. This is just one of those little minis. And that's the lipstick. And on top I have Buxom Sandy on top for a new lip. All right, so the candle I'm gonna be talking about today is Bath & Body Works Coconut Water. So Bath & Body Works describes this candle as coconut milk, creamy vanilla, and pineapple. I don't get pineapple at all, to be honest. I guess the creamy vanilla, maybe a little bit, but what I get is definitely like not copper tone sunscreen, not like the suntan lotion from like Bath & Body Works, their traditional one, but rather like sunbum kind of sunscreen. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. That kind of coconut. A little bit of a beachy towel smell, like a really nice beachy towel smell. And this is the kicker, in my nose, in my candle, in my home, again, everyone's different. I get a tad little bit of spearmint in this. I don't know why. There's no spearmint, mind you, anytime that you read scent note descriptions off Bath & Body Works website, take it for what it's worth, right? But I get this tiny little bit of mint, and I got it still when I was burning this as well. And first of all, of course, I love coconut anything, but my favorite coconut candle from Bath & Body Works is Coconut Leaves. And that's my all-time, hands down, favorite candle, coconut candle. This is pretty good. I like it, but it definitely has, like I say, if you've smelled Zeep's, oh shoot, there's like a beachy towel type smell. It smells like a luxurious beach towel, fresh, like soft. If it's soft could smell, that's what it smells like, a soft blanket, but with a beachiness to it, and a little bit of spearmint. I guess there's a little vanilla in here. I wouldn't really say that it's super creamy, at least in mine, but I enjoyed this one. There's of course the ribbed lid on top, the coconut water label, a little childish. I found that this whole line was really, what is that artist? Andy Warhol inspired. That's how I felt. Like if a coconut were to pose for Andy Warhol, this would be it. And the soda pop shop and the root beer one was odd. Nothing about that label screamed root beer to me at all. But anyway, they kind of have that esque-ness to it, Andy Warhol painting type thing. So whatever, I don't really care about packaging. It is what it is. So scent appeal on cold, 9 out of 10. I love, like I say, I really enjoy coconut scents. I really enjoyed this burning, but I will say burning and giving it a lower grade, because although it finally corrected itself and put itself out, and mind you, no sooting, so I will give it that, I almost gave up on this candle. I had to, and I was just putting it out on a, just on my table or whatever. I had to think of them like, oh my gosh, PWS is starting to kick in. I can still smell the candle, thank goodness, because as soon as it reaches over to the kerosene scent, I'm out, tapped out, I'm out. This candle's gone. It never quite reached that, but what I did do, I had a couple burns where it was slow and low, like it was, it could have used a little bit more help. So what I was thinking is like, okay, so I pulled out, like, I think I put it in the taller of the hurricanes here over my shoulder, and I put it in there, and that's where it flourished. So that's all it needed. I never really happens and never really works out for me that way for most PWS, but I did put it in here. It retained its scent while burning. Super thankful for that, because like I say, about halfway through, I was at the usual BBW love, like midway point, it was getting really gross. Like the wicks were almost extinguishing themselves, but they still maintained the scent, which is why I kept burning it. So I'm happy I did it that way, in that tall, like palm leaf, hurricane type thing. So thankful for that. Scent appeal, while burning, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 again for the most part. The burn itself, I'm going to drop it down to a 5 because although it did burn really well and no sitting, it had that struggle and I almost gave up on this candle. So I'm only giving it a 5 on the actual burn, but while burning, and the scent for the most part through really, really well, right down into the bathroom area, which is the furthest point in my place. And I really enjoyed it. Again, I love coconut. So that's the weird thing though about this, is I smelled a little bit of spearmint. I don't understand why. All right, so if you are done with listening to me and just wanted to know about the, sorry, I'm just moving this out of the sunshine in front of me. If you just wanted to hear about the candle, now's the time to go. I'm gonna give you a quick little story time, which I'm not even exactly sure where I'm gonna go with this, except for it's gonna be, I'm gonna put this down now. I'm gonna recommend it if you love coconut. I don't know if there's any left in your store. If there is, grab some. I know I have a second one that I will likely chop up for next year. So that's that. So story time. If you guys have watched my review on Bath & Body Works Italy candle, I told you I went to Italy, like it was Christmas, New Year's of 2006, 2007, that there was a lot more of a story, and there still is a lot more of a story, but you know, some of it is just, this is 12 years of friendship that turned awry. Well, I have to go backwards a little bit. In my high school was twinned with another high school in England, and on even number of years, us Canadians would go to that school and be billeted by families who on odd year, we would, like if we went on the even year, the odd year before, those kids would come and stay in our houses. Now, my sister and I were very fortunate to be able to go, both of us on the 1 year together, but the year before we left, the British students came over from Kings Langley, Hertfordshire. I've been there a few times, I've been to Europe a few times, and I love Kings Langley, it's great. St. Albans. Anyway, the kids came over here, we had a great time. I had a host brother, like I was his host sister, and so my sister had a host, she was a host sister to a boy as well, and then we went over the next year, and my family was fabulous. I had the most fantastic, I could not have asked for a more fun family. I'll tell you, the first night we arrived, it's like a freaking all-day flight. I'm way out in the West Coast, traveling all the way, like over the entire North American continent, over the Atlantic Ocean, and flew into Heathrow Airport. By the time we got sorted out there, there's probably 25 of us, including our teacher supervisors. Anyway, we get sorted out through customs and we go to the high school. That's where we all end up, is the high school. Now, mind you, I'm in grade 12, which is my final year. I guess that's my senior year for all of you Americans. I don't know. Anyway, I'm my last year of high school. And anyway, my host mom, like all the other moms, lined up there waiting to pick us all up, or as individuals. And I was so bagged. It was my very first flight overseas. I was bagged because I don't sleep well in cars, planes, trains. Just don't sleep. I need to be in control of everything I see. It's a control thing. Anyway, moving on. So she picked us up. And we went back to her house. Now it was midday at that point, so my host brother still had to finish school, and my host father and sister were at school. And well, sister was at school at she was older. No, she was in college. And my host father was at work, and it was a Friday. So anyway, I had a quick nap, got up. My host mother takes me grocery shopping. She's like, "What? I'm gonna go grocery shopping. Did you want to come with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. It sounds great." So I will say I love her to bits. I love her to bits. She, like, as much as I love junk food, I was never one to, I had to pack my lunch since I was 10 years old because my dad was so, and I don't blame him, pissed off that I wouldn't eat half the things that he would make for us, like sandwiches and things like that. I just wouldn't eat. He'd find out or find it somewhere, probably rotting. Anyway, but even still, like growing up, we weren't allowed a lot of junk food at all, like to take to school. It was like an apple and, you know, healthy things, which is great. So, but when I went overseas and we're going grocery shopping, and of course you do the outside of the grocery store, which is generally like your, what am I trying to say? Your items like your dairy, your meats, produce, things like that. And then we hit like, I'm just going to call it aisle 3. Aisle 3 was all the chocolate and the crisps and the anything you could think of. it was down aisle 3. No joke. There was like a little bit of meat in the cart. There's a little bit of produce and blah, 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 and yada, yada. It was like, she went in there and I was just in there going, and she's like, do you want anything? I'm like, is there anything that you like? I'm like, no, thank you though. And this is back in the day. This is 1996. This is back in the day when the weed in North America hadn't seen them yet, but in the UK they had the half cans of pop and soda and what have you. And when she would load up on those, and like nearly half the basket was full of junk food. Chocolate bars, crisps, flakes, Cadbury flakes, one of my favorite things. Oh my gosh, and soft serve vanilla ice cream. That's where I found out I love it, was in the UK. Anyway, I was gobsmacked. Like the cart was half full of junk food. But so we'd finished going grocery shopping, come back to the house, we have time to unload, and then my host sister shows up, and my host father gets off work a little early on Friday, which was awesome. And no sooner did he get in, and my host brother, of course, is home from school, so his name was Ross. And anyway, my host father shows up at the house a little early Friday, and he says, okay, Ross, Kim, let's go. I'm like, okay. He's like, it's time to go to church. And deadpan face, like straight face. Let's go to church. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm here for the experience, whatever this is. And I'm not like, I don't even know what denomination it doesn't matter to me. I'm all about exploring all sorts of new and different things. So I'm like, okay. So Ross and I load up in his Land Rover or whatever it was, and we go to church. And I'm like, oh God, Friday night, yay. And then until I rolled up in his church, which was the Swan Pub in Kings Langley. And I was like, oh my God, I love you. I don't know you, but so I was 16 years old and they let us go into the pub. They don't really care. I was 16. I think I was at that age where they're like, yeah, drink, whatever. And I played mean game of darts. I didn't realize I was a good dart player, but I think I got better as I drank. I know it's probably the opposite of what should have happened, but anyway, that was a fantastic start to my trip. And then I'm almost finished this because there's still other steps to talk about. Now, this guy, Ross, is nothing but an amazing brother to me. My trip to Italy has nothing to do with him at all, but because I'm looking at the time right now, I'm going to probably do this part of the story, then keep going, because the story is long. Like I say, I'm not going to go into great detail. This is to sort of set up, like, that was the year I went there and we met people. And while on that trip, while I was in Kings Langley and traveling, England, Scotland, Wales was beautiful. All those places, 4 weeks of traveling, which is amazing. I have amazing parents that allowed my sister and I to be able to go. We worked hard. My sister and I worked. That was a truck. My sister and I worked really hard to save money in the family's company to be able to go. So, but it was really, really awesome that they were the ones that, at the end of the day, ponying up the cash for us to go. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is at the very end of that trip, 4 weeks of touring, we come back, we all get together as groups of all of us exchange groups and stuff. And then there was this guy who fell head over heels. And I'm not saying that's just, he fell head over heels for me, and I thought he was a very nice looking guy, and I didn't really know about him. Apparently he lived down the street from my host family, and he had a billet as well. Like, he'd come to Canada the year before. I didn't really give notice. Anyway, I went over there that year. While I was there, at the very last night, my host family, again, the best host family, we had this rager of a party. Fabulous. I will never forget it. They had we had ranges of age group between, I want to say, 14 and 17. But we had a rager party. It was so much fun. It was all good times. Lots of really great memories. But at the end of that night is kind of where something started. I got asked, I was in the kitchen having a couple drinks, wobbly pops, beverages, and someone says, hey, come over here. Peter wants to talk to you. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I walk over, and all of a sudden I'm being ushered outside by one of my friends, and they're like, here he is. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Well, he sat down and he expressed how much he really liked me, and because we're really young. I think he was 1 year younger than I was, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Well, let's be pen pals. And I remember he asked if he could kiss me. I said no. Because I was all like, this is weird. Like, I have never had a guy approach me. I was the one who, in high school, like, although for sports I was really good at, anything else I was like, no one would give me a second look ever. And he's like, well, my parents just live down the street and I've talked to them about you and I would love for them to meet you. I'm like, okay. So anyway, I went to my host brother and I said, I'm just going down the street to so-and-so, like Peter's family's house, which they all knew each other like since elementary school. So, and it really was a less than 5-minute walk. So we did, and we went to their house, and I met his brother, his mom, and his dad, and it was really nice. And that was the start of a pen pal in the late 90s. And then there's so much more, unfortunately, that went on. But I'm not going to go into detail, but I'll keep rolling with this little story time thing as videos go on to sort of give you an idea. Let's just put it this way. I am so used to guys with no follow through. Anybody else out there feel the same way as me? Little follow through. You say something and you don't go through with it. That's kind of what I'm used to. Obviously my picker sucks. I said picker. But I just, at the end of the day, I think most of us, men and women, can attest to the fact that all we want is someone to love you, to be there with you, to support you, and you do the same thing. You want to be part of a team. I've always been part of team sports. I think parenting is a team, not a sport, but I think parenting is definitely a team thing between parents. Marriages are a huge team. You have to be on each other's side. I mean, and if you're not, that's going to be kind of hard. But yeah, I've had a lot of really bad luck. Not that luck has anything to do with it. I have a lot of bad experiences with dating. I am going to be 40 in just a couple of weeks here, but not that I care. I'd far rather be single and not have met the right person than be stuck with the wrong person for the rest of my life. And I use the word stuck because some people would never get out. Although me, I'm very much an A-type personality. You would know if I didn't like something. But anyway, moving on. That's a little story time to kind of prep it up for the next bit of story time. So as always, you guys, thanks so much for watching. I like this. I don't know if you can get it anymore. You might be able to get some in stores. Whatever you purchase, I have one more already to chop up. Probably not. Whatever you purchase, coconut leaves, 100% yes. All right, you guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Be safe, take care, and have fun. Bye.